Man, there's so much coming out about that 70s show, people. All of them. All of them. Every single one of them. They're like, Wilmer, Valderrama, I guess his name is, did a Howard Stern interview, which, if you go on Conan or Howard Stern, you're in trouble. So he's like, after, when was this? I don't know. It's in this string of stuff. They're like, after Danny's sentence was announced, Wilmer infamous Howard Stern interview reemerged per Rolling Stone. In the interview, he made crude comments about his ex-girlfriends. Now, if you guys saw anything that I said, because I post, here and on, Instagram. So I'll go on these long things, and I don't know if anybody reads them, but I know some people do, but I don't know how many. But in the mix of this, I was talking about how these men treat me like a guy, and they'll start talking these nasty ass things, and they'll degrade our body, and they'll say, just all these disgusting sexual things, right? Then they go on to, like, like, say these celebrity ones, they'll go on to TV and just start talking about all that, like really intimate details, like, you know like this. He goes, he boasts about his sex life with Ashley Simpson. And he's like, it was a little louder than that. It's like, did you get permission to go on like that? I mean, I don't know. And then he said, while a moaning sound effect played in the background. He also commented on what helped him gain the attention of women. Stern chimes in, roofies, right? Like to drug them. To which the actor jokingly replies, one, that's the silent fact. And he claimed that he took Mandy Moore's virginity. The sex with Mandy was good, but it wasn't like warm apple pie. And then also boasted about his giant penis size and that he was a curse with this gift. See, right away, any guy talking like that is a no-go. He's a total sociopath. These women are just objects, and then he degrades them. He doesn't care. He's like talking about really intimate stuff on here, and then he degrades them as he's talking about the acts that they did, right? Like he's going like this. That's what I was trying to explain. Like they'll totally go on like this. I mean, this is pretty tame compared to some of the things that have been told to me and some of the things that other men have said about me as they're being predators. Like there was a whole other thing that happened when I was a kid. So then we go down. Um, Wilmer and Demi Lovato. Okay. In 2017 documentary Simply Complicated, Lovato recalled a relationship with him, whom she dated on and off through their time. I think it was love at first sight, she said. We connected on a level that I've never connected with anybody before. He was just my rock, my everything. She met the handy manny voice actor when she was just 17, a minor, and he was 29. And they confirmed their relationship after she turned 18. He's a predator, so he's a child predator. I think what I went through is I had a phase of dating older men and dating older guys because of daddy issues, obviously. No. So even if you were like, oh, I think that guy is cute, he's still 29, and technically it's on him. So, and it's not uncommon for kids to be attracted to older people, but that doesn't mean that the old person should take advantage of that, right? And so, I wouldn't go to the daddy. That's been kind of a common thing that people have been talking about. This is more of a it's sort of a mass grooming thing that they did to us as kids. Like if you go back into television, we're talking about environmental factors, so there's sort of a normalization with that. There's a lot in it. It's like if you want to go really deep into this stuff, it will take time and really sit back and go, God, throughout my childhood, they had these things with old men on little girls, and then it's sort of this normalization thing that happens. And then during your development years, because you're developing who you like and all these things, there it's not like a something I can just explain in like one sentence or something. But and now I'm at a place where I'm in an amazing relationship. And then I could say with confidence that my daddy issues aren't anything that are inside of me anymore. And I think there's a few signs to that. And I'm with a partner that is my age essentially. And I look back on the past and think that's gross. Like it's sort of a self-blame thing right there. And as I don't agree with that, but he's a predator. So like it would take a predator to even have that happen, right? So regardless of any of that, so they go, for me, I was a teenager, and so to me, that's gross. If you're 50 or 60, that's fine. Even 30, 40, that's not gross at all. But I think when you're in those development years, you should absolutely not be with somebody that is older than you by that much. It's just unhealthy and toxic. It was unhealthy and toxic for me to even be with a 19-year-old at that time when I was talking about that he was hanging out with a bunch of minors. So, yeah. Like, um, yeah, but listen, I mean, if you go back to the story right before it, how he's talking about females, they're just objects to obtain. And oh my God, if Howard Stern made a joke about I drug people, I would literally not go along with that. Because you wouldn't want people to think you did that, right? I don't think there's what's funny about drugging women. And he plays along with it. And he actually could be joking along, and it's true. It seems that all these guys were doing that. So then, mm, he didn't write a letter of support to Danny, but he's just like, he looked out for him or something, some bullshit. Um, then the story prior, though, all of them, oh my God, where'd it go? All of them are a bunch of rapists, dude. I was like, if I seen this group of guys come up to me, I would try to go the other way. I could tell looking at them, they're trouble. Trouble. Mm-mm. Ashton is a total rapist. I think it's funny. Okay, so Conan, I've talked about Conan before. So you guys know I was like a huge fan of Conan. I would spend like the 90s like fucking watching Conan. I thought he was the most brilliant thing ever on TV outside of, I was like, Leno is like for your dad. That was like the thing. And so at night, like, because I had to go to work in the early morning, but I would watch Conan. I just remember that, like, I did do that. And then, okay, so what happened? My falling out with Conan. I was like, my falling out with Conan. He only did one thing, and that was it. Like, that was it. No, no. One day. Okay, so yeah, for some reason, I don't know why he did it. He had Paul Rubens on doing wigs with kids, and I'm like, um, can you explain to me like why you would do that? Is there a particular reason why you would do that? I'm literally talking about my story, and I had followed them for years, and then they had me do some artwork, or they had the fans do artwork, and they put like one of the pictures I did of them up on their little Coco site. It was of Conan with the what the hell was it? With the monkey? Was it what the hell did I do? Anyway, I did some Photoshop thing. It was kind of funny. But no, and then I've been talking about my story and how like I was about to go to Paul Rubens to ask him about my perpetrator. And then Paul Rubens gets arrested for child porn, right? So I'm thinking, like, how odd because, okay, so he's, in trouble for that. So why would you put him on the show with kids? I don't know. I don't know the thing behind it. I don't know if it's a thing where they're friends and he's going to go protect them. Could it be that? Or could it be like he was trying to really humiliate him to see if he would do something with kids. Like, I don't know, you guys. Like, I don't know why that would even occur. It was so distasteful. And normally, Conan's a very bright guy. He's like a 160 IQ, higher than Kevin. And though I know he had like depression, all this other stuff, I don't remember the whole story with that. I don't know if it's a thing where their parent, the bad parenting thing, all that stuff. But he seems to be on top of sociopathy, like psychopathy, because in his segments, there was several times, maybe a whole lot more. He'll go, yeah, and I'm a psychopath. I mean, it is possible that he was looking at traits for himself. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. And then he studied up on it, or he studied up on it at Hog for. No, I was like, I don't know. But he seems to be on top of it. That's what I'm saying. Because then when Fred Savage came on, and I was saying I worked with them, but I do recall like some other stuff on this as I was talking about all that. But Fred comes on here and he starts talking about how he stayed naked with his frat boys or something weird. And he's like, I've never heard of that. Like, start questioning him, like, something's wrong with you, dude. And Fred gets busted, right, for all this bad conduct. And then, the one with Gary Coleman, right? So he did an interview with the lady that was talking about Gary Coleman. And like she's trying to make it funny, but actually telling a real story. And he's like, yeah, that's totally bad, versus if you went on some other show, like nobody, they would think it's all funny, hilarious, and not even see the wrong in it, right? But he catches it. And so here he's talking with Danny and he catches it again. And he's like, yeah, I heard about you, you'll get caught eventually. Because Danny's talking about how when his friend was running around doing a voice thing of him saying that he would, he's like, hi, my name is Danny, why don't you grab my balls? Like this thing like that. And I was just thinking about it. I was like, I don't know if I would have tailed it off like that. It's interesting that because he picked it up. I'm just saying, I don't know what year this was. But this is obviously that's an old show. The taping there, because it's the one where he's like sitting next to the desk, like early 2000, maybe. I don't know. It's a while ago. And I was saying, I go, Danny is such a dick. He's like that typical jerk. He doesn't have, to me, he's not charismatic. He's that typical jerk abuser guy that, like, you walk up to and he's just like, what? Fuck you. Get that girl. I don't know. Like this certain personality type that I really, really don't get along with. And even on here, like as he's talking, he's very, I'm like mundane. That's not the word. He's very just not monotone either, but he doesn't have a very, you see Conan where he's like, like he has quite a personality, right? This guy's just like, yeah, probably. Then you do this thing. Man, me, meh. I don't know. It's just that. That's the best way I can explain it. That's how I explain it. I get an A in class. I was like, so then, okay, so that's pretty bad. So Conan picks it up from I'm assuming it's from what he's saying. But I was thinking about it, I was like, maybe he heard something in the backdrop of Hollywood, because I don't know. I don't know if it's a thing where he heard rumors about stuff, or if it is just strictly straight off of what he said. Because he could get it straight off what he said, because he's just like, I run around and telling people to grab my balls, things like that. But I don't know if I would have tailed it off going, yeah, eventually you're going to get caught, the rest thing, right? Because even Rosie did that, but I get why Rosie said her thing. Because she's aware of, sexual abuses like that, whatever. So it makes sense. I'm just looking back at this time, it probably would have went over my head to say anything like that. But I'm thinking like even now, like if you said it, I don't know if I would have tailed it like that, but he's just on it. It's just going off either by that or other additional information that people had always known. Because it seems like people are now kind of busting out going, oh yeah, Ashton's an asshole. Ashton's this, Ashton's that. Everybody knew this. And it's like, you guys didn't do a damn thing. So then we got the Rosie show, then they, that thing there. But this other video literally points out like what a little rapist that fucking Ashton is. Because he has his child victim. I don't think people are seeing this right. She's a child victim because she had to work on this show with 3 pigs and probably more than that. And they're all being this rapist type of guy, and they probably all drugged drinks and roofied and did all that crap. And then she's a little kid, she's like starting on the show at 14, or, she was 14, I guess, at the time, as I was saying. And then she's in this environment where she has to conform to. It's just her having to conform to the environment, and the environment is bad, and then it's just normalized. So in the clip is like totally a flag to know if someone's a rapist or not. And here's the flag. The flag is that she had no idea like a joke is on her, and so they have her sit on his lap like they're doing some type of like what guys were like shenanigans. They're just jokes, right? We're gonna be sexual with these girls without their consent. So anyway, she's like sitting on his lap, and she's like, "Hi, I'm so and so from the 70's show." And then he turns around and he's like, oh yeah, we had a bet, to see if I can get you sitting on my lap. And then he starts acting like he's having sex with her, and then starts like basically molesting her. And she's like laughing. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, maybe turn around and punch him. But this is what they did. So they're treating her as an object, and they're doing something sexual to her without her knowledge, right? It would be different if they were totally in on the joke together. Okay, guys? Like, I get, like, the joking, like, if that was my boyfriend and we're totally effing around, totally, there's that. But this is a thing where they're just like, oh, we're going to keep doing these plots on her to try to, do sexual things to her. This is the second time I've seen this. So they showed they talked about the first incident. Now this is this one. And, she's basically a child groom victim. That's really what it is here. And so, like, she's kind of taught like, oh, we're just joking around, we're all good friends, but I'm gonna like try to, do something sexual to you without your knowledge, girl. And she's like, ah, and he's like grabbing her, dude. I go, see, that's the crap that we had to deal with, but that's the flag to know if somebody's a rapist. Because there's no consent, and they're doing plots, and they just do it, right? It's disgusting. That's that. So, and then they're all out partying together. They're all of them are bad. And then, so this is not a thing where they innocently had no idea their friends would be like this. In fact, there probably is no story like that, really, in reality. It's just bullshit. Because you're seeing the real dynamic. This is the real dynamic of that. And maybe if you had an IQ of 160, you would pick it up much sooner. Okay, so if we go down here, I know how to tell this guy this, because they're guys, I don't know if the first comment was a girl, but they go, it's sad they are being judged by people who have no clue. A lot of people are shocked when they find out what a friend did. It doesn't mean they are guilty. Get over it, people. Blame the press for dragging everything through the mud to sell news. By somebody named Dottie. And I put, they had a clue. You didn't watch the clip, or you too were a rapist. Yeah, so then they go, Tony comes in. He's like, the wild part of this to me is that people are coming down hard on these actors that didn't have any part in the crime. And they need to take their anger out on Danny. And I go, all 3 of the guys on the show are predators. The environment on the show was horrific for the female. Okay? So the female is now part of the clan because she got groomed, so then she's going along with it. It's not her doing things to the other people. It was them that did it to her. So then they became friends. It's like you growing up in your family, right? And then you just become part of your family, and it's totally fucked up, right? And then people start coming at your family, and then because you're an abused victim in it, you tend to want to, you'll defend it because it's normal to you now, right? Like what's happening to you. So sometimes or most of the time, like the kid doesn't even know they're being abused. And so it's sort of that thing where it's like, oh, this is totally fine that we keep doing these sexual crimes on me. It's all funny. The joke is on me. Who's the joke on? That they want to call jokes. They're not jokes. They're just hate crimes. They're doing evil things. Dude, when I was a kid, this is the crap we did. Okay, so I didn't do anything with anybody on my lap. I know that my friend had me like lay on her lap. There's this picture. Anyway, we're all friends, right? And a lot of us did these conducts to each other like we're effing around. But at a point, somebody gets mad and somebody doesn't want it done anymore. Or, you start realizing like this isn't good conduct to do. And then you stop doing it. It's kind of the learning process because there's no adult there to tell you, that's bad, kids. You shouldn't be doing that. So we're talking about that portion. So she's at the age where that stuff was going on. And it was actually younger than that. Mostly it was like in the ages of, I don't know. It was 7th grade through about 9th, 10th. Like, I don't recall there was too many shenanigans, too much after that. Kind of started weeding out where people are maturing and then you just don't do that anymore. Like, it was sort of that thing because there was no parental anything to stop it. And then, once, I'm out of school, like, that stuff wasn't going on. I don't know about with them, but, yeah, so here it's like her, like a, junior high, beginning of high school type of age. Well, she wouldn't be in high school yet unless it was a school that started in 9th grade maybe, but yeah. So she'd be like a junior high, well, 9th grade, let's say, dealing with this. So for her maturity level, it would be like, oh, whatever, dealing with it. And there's nobody there to stop it. But these guys are older. I want to get their ages down. He's 47. He's Generation X. He's 47. Ashton, 45. He's just a little under, not much. Wilmer is 43. He's just a little younger. And then Mila, I believe, is 40. Yeah, so she's the baby in the group, okay? And isn't she a millennial? So that's why I said I'm a little bit closer, like I feel closer to the millennials, but she's totally a millennial. Like this is kind of the tail end of Generation X, and the older Generation X was like horrific rapist. And the Generation X in this last tail, like, I don't know, it's like that 10-year span there from the 1970 to the 80s portion. Horrific. So anybody play pretending they're bullshit today, these older farts, they're a bunch of liars. So it's one of those things where, like, I'm talking about where they just normalized it. And then they're arguing. Their argumentation is basically saying, yeah, that's totally normal. We're all rapists. We all did that. We all raped everybody. That's what they're arguing. As I said, I graduated before them because they're all stupid, dude. Like, I'm sitting there like, even though I partook, I don't know why I'm partaking, at the time as a kid. But it's like now when I look back, I go, oh, yeah, because all the guys did it and we got groomed. And then it became this like normalized thing. Like I had to do a self-reflection on it. Like, why did this happen? Because I think I'm a good person. Like I'm not purposely going out trying to harm people, And it's like, I think it's funny. Why did I think it's funny? Oh, TV, the men were doing that. I was looking at it because I was like, what a strange thing. To me, it was a strange thing. It was like out of character kind of in my opinion of how like I viewed myself. And And for some reason, it was just one of those things that did occur, among a few other things from the abuses. So it was like me trying to correct the abuses. And that's why it's been a question with the ASPD portion, because there was no cure for it, but they were trying to say like some people grow out of it. And I go, well, it would only be a fraction of them. You would have to, here's the thing with it, you would have to recognize it. You'd have to really hate it. You'd really have to want to fix yourself. And then you'd have to do a shitload of work. And you may never fully, be great, but, you could maybe that's the thing to it. But if they're not diagnosing it and everybody's running around like a freakazoid, then yeah, no one's going to get better. Among the things that I've been going through, like I said, there was some early signs, and I go, that's, well, number one, it's the parenting. That style is a major cause. And then, but even if that is present, one of the earliest points is you must jump in there and disrupt that, like, or get them out of the situation, or bust somebody in the situation and get help for the abused kid, right? Or the neglected kid, however, or combination of those two things. The only secondary is that people recognize that that's what they have, and then they want to do something with it. It's not a thing where you can just throw some adult like into a program and then they'll be better. No, because what they're going to do is they're going to want to fight it, and they're going to call it bullshit, and then they'll just manipulate their way out of it just to get out of, whatever thing that they're doing to them. So, that's why I'm like, how do we fix this? Because I could see the early portions of how to tackle it. Most likely, that's probably the area where it needs to like jump in, because once it's like hardwired, that's difficult. Like, how many of them would want to fix themselves? Most of them don't. They're arrogant assholes. You'll see the narcissist part in there. All three of these guys are major narcissists. That's just one of the traits in it. But they're not just narcissists. So you should not call them just narcissists, because they're not. They're total criminal behavior, drugging people, raping girls, going after minors, doing stuff that's harmful to others and to themselves, obviously. And they're viewing themselves as the perfect guys. I don't know. You bring this up, and Conan's like, you'll get busted, and he just thinks it's hilarious. They're egos. And Mila's just a groom victim who's just going to go along with it and support her abusers. That's what you're seeing. I mean, we can go in the comment section all day. The comment section is just ridiculous. Like, you're watching a video of a rapist action, the flags that you should see, and go, oh, there's a rapist. Oh, me having a girl bounce on my lap and molesting her is like totally normal. This is what we all do. And that's what I'm saying. I go, you're all a bunch of rapists. Thank you for admitting it. It's that. Oh, God. This is a ridiculous comment. To me, okay, this is somebody named Hooser something, I don't know. To me, it's very hard to understand how such a caring person who worries about the futures of others so much that he uses so much of himself in order to prevent it from happening to the ones he cares about. Yet, he overlooks his own glaring problem with sexual self-control. It's not sexual self-control. Those are hate crimes. So it's a guy sitting there going, I'm going to exert my power and just take advantage of this person. Be it whatever crime it is. It could be a money crime. It could be a physical crime. It could be anything. Self-control. This is a weird way to put that. And you're taking it that he actually cares. Like, I don't know why he's just telling his pal, like, yeah, don't blow your money or something. I think that's what they're referring to, but I don't know. How does he allow his own sexual desires It's not about sexual desires, it's power and control. Dominate these sincere and honorable feelings he has for his friends. Did you not notice that they were trying to basically rape Mila like the whole time? That's his care for his friends. Nope, it's indeed a sickness. It's a major short circuit. How was it ever allowed to manifest to this degree? Oh, I mean, you're going somewhere with that. So many instances, he cared so much about the other's career through professionalism. I'll never be able, okay, yeah, okay, that's kind of a weird thing. Yeah, they were talking about, like, oh, we need to put on a fake show, you know, we can't, like, ruin the showdown by doing anything bad. I think that's what it was referring to. Yeah, they care about their own careers. They don't care if Mila's was ruined. They care about the men's careers, okay? The day that we hear men going, what about these women's careers, is the day I'm going to fall over dead. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's about themselves because they're like a cult and they need to help each other. And so they're all about hiding their conduct. And so they're like, we got to make sure, like, we keep all this stuff out of the media, you know, that we're raping everybody. You know, it's kind of more that. I'll never be able to understand this because I like to think that I run my own life using common sense and staying in touch with reality. Well, you're not right here because you're missing, like, their sociopath and why they do that. And it says with reality always, but there are two different people living in one body here. So, okay, all you're seeing is the socio, and they're trying to mask, possibly, if you're talking about two different people living in a body. I was like, so there is no way I could offer him any help because it's something I don't understand in the least. Yes, so that's why we talk about this PD. Like, because that it's amazing how many people actually have it, and to different degrees. And we all probably would have been classified as having it in junior high. I was like, when I was thinking about some of this stuff. Yeah, it's caused from their upbringing. And then it was enabled in the environment that they worked in. So then they created a victim in it, and Mila is one, and then they preyed on everybody else, right? So it was like those three guys on their own created probably a tank of victims everywhere, right? Because it became a normalized thing in society for them to behave in that way. And I don't know how somebody's so far away from understanding it, because it's trying to tell me, like, you're trying to tell us that no guy ever did any of these things to you. You never saw this conduct ever. Not growing up. Not any of this. And so it's kind of screwing, you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that. So unless you're a really young, I mean, I believe it's happening all the time. So I don't know. You're just not sharp to it or something. Like, you just I don't know if you watched the video of her being on his lap and that happening and not relating to like a million different incidents of stuff like that growing up. Or at least seeing other people do it, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure it happened to most of us females, like at some point, like a million times over. A guy's doing that, where it's like, oh, you know, and then they walk by you and they just grab your tit, like some crap like that, right? Like, you have it a million times a day. It's not something that's like, oh, this one time, this guy. No, we live in a society full of those guys. The public are a bunch of Karens and a bunch of judgmental idiots. Whom doesn't comprehend that these actors or actresses are people too? No, we do, and they're a problem, and there's a thing called PDs and crime. I wasn't there, but these kids have history, and they have the right to feel the way about their friend. Okay, Yvette, it's a female. If these girls are being truthful, which girls? There was one girl. Oh, the victims. Okay, that in the case. Well, you got busted, so I feel for them. And if he did this, I hope he pays. He's got 30 years. But he did the crime, not his friend. No, his friends definitely partook in these type of crimes, yeah. Maybe not on those girls, but on some different people. Leaves these people alone. I would watch this a couple movie TV shows. I think they're great actors and loyal friends. I wish I had people like that in my life. Dude, you sound pathetic. I don't want a bunch of rapists in my fucking life. We're trying to get rid of all of them. I don't want somebody to be loyal to me if I'm a total shit. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm out harming a bunch of people, I mean, how terrible is that? Nobody's helping me out here. It's not, the thing about ASPD, it's not good to even enable it because they're harming themselves. It's like self-harm. It's self-harm. Because their conduct puts them in danger. It could be, I mean, if you're out raping people, you could get a disease. You're going to go to prison. You can get killed doing a rape crime, right? Because you're a criminal. So you're not helping anybody by protecting them. Like, they need help on top of it, right? Like, that's the thing about that disorder right there. Get a drug habit. Oh, here they go, because they go, Ashton's mentor is his partying buddy that he hung out with at clubs where underage female celebrities got to party and drugs are the norm. There are interviews, photos, and articles everywhere of these two partying up for years. Actually, all three, because for some reason the Wilmer thing got thrown off to the side there. I was like, oh, all three of them are a bunch of predators. Okay, this certainly does not reflect someone who is anti-drug, as Ashton states. So I guess it's okay to get hammered on alcohol, but not illegal drugs. Is that it? Alcohol is still a drug. Yes, he said that. He doesn't believe that alcoholism is a real thing. So maybe that is why he said it, because he's such a big alcoholic too. I don't know, but he literally caused damages over there. And then also prescription drugs are a drug. And that may be another reason why they view doing roofies as not the same as doing, say, cocaine. There was a thing here in the early 90s and throughout obviously 2005 there where we had our thing happen. Where men just did this as a normal thing to do to women. Pop a pill in their drink. And it seems that all three of them seem to be fine with that because the other one's laughing about it. And there's no way to tell if that I would have a problem with that. I'm not going to let anybody joke about me doing some shit like that. Because I know it's for the public, right? Because if you're on Howard Stern and he starts that shit up, I would probably not want to joke along with that one because it's a crime and it would make me look like a rapist, right? You would almost think that if you're a rapist that you would still want to cover that up, but he's just laughing about it. It's like, oh, you think it's funny? Like there's something funny about knocking women out? Or men. I should point that out. It's like I'm talking about these guys here, so I'm saying man, 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 and all this stuff. But there could be some females out here that do that. I would hope not, but that actually could be a thing too. So these are Hollywood people, and I'm sure they don't think Masterson's sexual behavior was a crime. Yeah, because they're all a bunch of rapists. They probably chalk it up to a sexual fetish. Yeah, it's not a fetish. These are disgusting rich humans who make a living selling themselves or image to the public. We eat up their lives and make them rich. We are the victims of their deception as well. Yeah, you could look at it like that, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot where they could just 10 million times a day say, this isn't real, this is real, that's not real. I can make up a story here. You guys are terrible for thinking that's real, or not real, or what. Yeah. Yeah, they're just basic people that have a job, and I'll never understand why society holds them up so high that it's like all of a sudden, like there's so many things going on in the world, and it's just like, oh, we need to have a national holiday because some actor died or I don't know. It's like, but they're just an actor. They're not a real person. Those are characters they're playing in TV. I mean, if you want to hold anybody up, hold the writers up, man. If you think their writing was such great, it's so great. Writing's a hard thing. I write every day. um, and they probably read it and then steal a script off it. It's like something. Danny Masterson is a rapist. And then two people put a thumbs down and they go, nope, he was railroaded with no evidence, no receipts. I don't know what receipts you want. You want a videotape because you're a sicko? He was accused of drugging women with no proof, no toxicology reports, nothing. He dated one of his accusers and she stalked him after he dumped her. That is on record. And then someone's all the Scientology bots are out in force. I would love to think it's just Scientologists, but it's actually another ASPD son of a bitch who's a pro-rapist that hates women. As you see, like the whole paragraph here is there's nothing about, he possibly could have done it. He's going, these women are trash. Show me the receipts. And even though he got literally convicted for doing this, and not only that, there's a long history. So this is how I figure out rapists, you guys. That's how I pulled up things like the Geraldo thing, all these other things, because I know the language of these men and how they view us as objects. So this person views us as an object. So this person that's talking right there, could be a girl, could be a guy, it's probably a guy, is also a rapist. So he will continually make these excuses, and he has a very low opinion of women. So when you have a low opinion of women, you don't respect them, and so you'll do things to them that you wouldn't normally do with somebody that you care about, right? This person doesn't care about anybody because they're talking like that, so he's going to include his mom in that, and he's going to let his mom be raped to hell, which he probably was, but okay, so in addition here, we have a series of events that leaded up to this here. So they're showing video footage of their conduct prior, and then things that they had done at the earliest point that we can get outside of their childhood, right? And you see, those were the flags at the intro, and they actually should have been busted on the set of the 70's show. And the show shouldn't have done what they did to have these guys on a young girl. So that's number one. That was a major thing right there. So they just like enabled that conduct the whole time. And so then, then they went out raping everybody. It was just enabled by all y'all. So it's all Kutcher and Kunis had witnessed Masterson attack these women. They probably would not have shown support. And then yet there's a video of Kutcher attacking Kunis. So, you know what I mean? If they witnessed it, they should have reported it to the police or stopped it. Yeah, exactly. What they're pulling up is the biblical thing where like they need a witness. So basically if you're watching a rape, you're part of the crime. They're actually, that whole ideology is actually from the Bible, what they're pulling up. And that's why the justice system is kind of structured that way. And it was like, where's the witnesses to this rape? It's like, well, shit, if they were watching the rape, they probably should be in prison along with the rapist. However, there's cases like ours where it's like, there was rapes going on, but they didn't consider, like, the getting them drunk thing. And then, there's a... telling girls that it's like, oh, if we get you drunk and we just take advantage of you while you're out, you consented? Even if you're a minor and we're an adult man and we pop something in your drink and you chose to drink it, the conduct is on you, little girl. The conduct is on you. And that's a sociopath, by the way. Just anybody trying to argue like that. That's why I said, I go, the public is a socio. Like that's the social norm. That's why I was tripping on my last clip, on the one, not my last clip, but the one I put back up, because it was from 8 years ago. And I'm sitting there thinking I'm still giving the public more credit than it ever deserved, okay? And I'm just like, oh yeah, most people, I'm like listening to myself cringing because I'm like, oh my God. And then the following year, Trump gets elected and this whole crowd of people were like the mass majority. And I'm over here like, yeah, that they're smarter than this, and I'm just listening to myself going, oh my God. But like I said, I wasn't aware of the entire scope of everything. I gave too much credit to a stupid public. I was like, still, they didn't even deserve it then. Jesus is the way, says this. So many people saying we need to leave these poor people alone because it was their opinion. Man, it sure would be nice to see some mindset when Christian conservatives have a different opinion. Most want them shut up and cancel immediately. What the hell? I'm a Christian too, and there's nothing in the Bible that tells us to seek approval. What we're told to do is live credible lives before others, and we fail to do that at times, and we support to love God, love man, oh God. Wait. In private, kind of like the private lives of Jimmy and Rosalind Carter, who post White House years have been all about loving people through service, volunteering, and habitat for humanity. And these lives have been commented on here on Yahoo by people of all likes who have been touched by how they lived. Stifle it, Jesus freak. Someone put. I don't know. That's so weird. They're going on. It's like, do you want me to post a comment about how they caused these guys to begin with? We don't care about how much, charity work you done. You're still a bunch of rapist sociopaths, right? Like, they somehow equate, like, oh, somebody went and gave, like, $5,000 to the homeless or something, and they're like, that person is not a rapist. It's like, that has literally nothing to do other than if you want to talk about masking or trying to present themselves to the public like they're some good person or something. Anybody could write a check, okay? And there could be a number of reasons why people do that. It could be because they feel like they have to do something like that to cover up, how evil they are, or it helps them on their taxes. A number of things, and they're trying to present a fake character here. It's a manipulative thing, and I was trying to point out the big differences between that and the autism thing, because the MO to do that thing is completely about how they're trying to present themselves in the public to cover up like what a horrible piece of shit that they are. Like Alice and his bullshit with the rape foundation. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, there's a long history of all those guys with children. So why would the rape foundation have anything to be involved with any of that? And then the cover-ups here. So when I told them, what did they do? They just sat there and protected him, I guess? I mean, I don't know. Like, that was the crazy thing to it. I go, don't present your charity to me if you're totally for that. So they apparently, I guess, are for all that. And so I would return the money from any person like that. Because they're trying to manipulate the public. And they have a history of it, and then I got targeted. So they're going to sit there and be like, that's the conduct that we want for the Rape Foundation. Awesome, assholes. But yeah, that's kind of how these ASPD son of a bitches operate. Like, the manipulation is about that. It's not a thing where we're trying to feel like normal human beings in a world that doesn't understand us. Like, they're not harming people. It's like, we feel awkward. Like, there's a different thing there. Where it's not like I feel awkward because I'm into killing people. That thing. The only thing we as a society like better than building up celebrities is tearing them down. No, they tear themselves down. Did I do the rape? No, I didn't rape anybody. Adam. A sociopath would say some shit like that. It's like, oh, you guys want to take me down because I'm a terrible person. How dare you? My ego here, like, I deserve to be up at the top for 24/7. You can't ever rid of me. Like, I deserve to be here. How dare you get rid of me? Yeah, that thing. We're going to cancel women 24/7. You know, like, sure, the women did stuff. Like, there's women that have had these things happen. And I'm sitting there going, it's so interesting because nobody stands up for women. Okay, so they're just like, we're going to get rid of women for telling on us. So we're going to cancel their career. Like, men actually started that. And I just love how they flip it around on its head. And then they start doing the baby crying because it's happening back to them. That's the reality of it. But we women didn't go, oh, cancel culture. Actually, we just called it blackballing. But yeah. But it's not because we did a crime on them. It's because they did the crime on us. So they're doing a double whammy, right? So they did a crime on us, on women, blackballed them, canceled them, did all this shit, right? And then now the table turned around a bit. Then they started losing their jobs, which they should, because you don't want to put somebody that's a danger to others, you know, at these job places and stuff. And then they're crying out, how dare you cancel? Like, it's always about them because they're little children. They're like stuck in that little boy body because they were abused as a child. They have ASPD and their ego, their narcissism and everything else. Like, they don't take responsibility at all. They don't believe that they should ever get in trouble for anything. And that's basically what you're hearing there. And they mock it. They mock it. They just sound like idiots. They think they sound smart and they're just totally witty. And I'm just like, they sound like total morons. Because they are. Okay, so then we go down here. Kevin. They did not ask for the sentence to be overturned. Basically, they did. They were basically like, be as lenient as possible because he's my pal. They did not deny his guilt. They didn't say that he was guilty either. They actually been in a weird place with that. They did not attack the victims. They merely offered their experience based on perception of their friend. Yeah, their perception of their friend is that we totally are okay with rape. It seems like a sound, rational comment. God bless. No, it doesn't. I do have empathy. The family reached out and asked if they pen a letter on Masterson's behalf. How do you say no to that? Because you could say no to that. How do you tell a grieving mother to get lost? It would be hard. Are you kidding? She created that monster. We really should drag the mom up in here. What did the mom do here? Do you see her enabling? She got to enable her son. Every psycho has good qualities to them. I wouldn't say all of them. Some do. Some have, I wouldn't even say good qualities. Some have some likable qualities, but some, like Danny, are a piece of shit all around. One day they snap. Nobody snapped. Take Charles Manson, for example. All he wanted was to be a rock star, like the Beatles. What the fuck? Exactly what good qualities did Charles Manson have? He's like, he writes good music. Yeah, like, what the hell? He's a nutcase. He's dead now, isn't he? And what the hell does he have to do with this? He was a cult leader. Okay, he took in runaway teens and gave them free room and board for one, and looked on the bright side. No, he took in runaway teens so he could manipulate them into his powerful world where he could take advantage of them, like Corey Feldman. That's a total thing like he did. Took them in, took advantage of them, and had them go kill people. You know what I mean? Like that thing, because he's the puppet master, right? He's the conductor. How did I call them? They're the like the Trumps, right? Like in the Chad Daybells, where they mastermind a thing and then they tell others to go do it. It's like that. He wanted to be a rock star, like the Beatles. Oh my God. He didn't have any good qualities. He has good qualities to other sociopaths, though. I did notice that. Such as people like Marilyn and all those people, where they were like, I could find the good in this guy. And, you know what I mean? Like, they have a relatability to other sociopaths. That's not the whole story, though. They sent the letters believing they could influence the judge without public knowing. They claimed to be victim rights advocates while vouching for a convicted serial predator. And then they also lied in the letters as the receipts show, and they knew a lot more about Masterson's dark side than they claimed. And Kutcher was right there with him, abusing drugs and women in the 90s and beyond. There you go. Yes. Sherry! Hey, we got one on the point. Yeah, and apparently when they did the letters, there's people saying they believe that the Church of Scientology put some spins into it. Now, that may be possible, but I don't believe that they did the letters because Scientologists told them to. I go, there's obviously a long history here of those guys. Yeah, so they have to protect their own house. Do you not see this? The men have to protect their own house. So if one were to out him, then people are going to go at, no matter what, they're not going to win in that because they're going to look like a hypocrite, right? Because they're going to go, Ashton did this though. And even though he would stand back and go, oh, he's such a terrible guy, then people would go, oh, but do you remember what you did there, Ashton? Like, totally. Like, you couldn't get out of it. But they're just trying to protect their own house, right? Because the more the merrier and the more power that they have together. And so they gang up. And then they help each other out. Yeah. Yeah, Danny was 22, I guess, on the show. The other guy was 19, and she was 14. Yeah, those are major age differences. The 19 to the 14, and him being 22. He's 22, and he's telling Ashton 19. Yeah, because it was 45, and he's 47. Yeah, so he's telling, is that right? Yeah, somewhere around that. 19, yeah, their birthdays are probably just a few months difference or beyond the 2 years. So I was like, yeah, it's probably something like that. And then he's telling him to do all these sexual crimes to Mila, and then he's totally down with it. And then you see him doing some horrible crap in like the other clip with Mila. And so yeah, no, she's totally a victim of it. We cannot hold her accountable to these actions at 14. Okay, so they were both going in on that. Yeah, and they were good friends, and they're both adults, and she was not. You see, easy concept, guys. I know you guys have a hard time seeing her as a kid, and she was, and these two predator ASPD son of a bitch rapists want to go off and do this stuff. And then it says Valderrama had a long history of dating younger women, including Mandy Moore when she was 16 and he was 20. He's a child predator. She later slammed him after he publicly claimed to have taken her virginity. Well, he's a child rapist. So this week, Demi talked about that thing, and she again is under 18 to his 29. So the problem here is also the age of consent in other states because obviously they're kids here, and so these men have been able to do this, and this has been a chronic problem. So if Mandy Moore was in a state that allowed 16 and he was 20, they would have totally been fine with this terrible conduct right here. And yeah, but they're starting to understand it. Like Demi, like she kind of explained that in a weird way, but no, at the same time, no, major difference there. 17 to 29. That's what I was saying. I go, that's my predator. The other guy, the AC camp over there. And they started dating when she turned 18. They started dating when she turned, I don't know if they said they started dating when she turned 18. It said something about like they came out when she turned 18. But regardless, and it's like the pre-grooming. It's like going after you before you're even of age. And men, of course, want this to be that way because they want the right to do it. They do not care about mental health issues. They don't care about their maturity level. Like, what type of guy at age 30 has anything remotely connecting to a teenager that's not fully developed? You know what I mean? Mentally or anything, right? So, you know, they're taking advantage of the innocence of a young kid, and It's like you're 30 to you, like the 20-year-old wouldn't be good enough for you, you know. You got to go with a minor, right? Somebody that's not even out of school yet. That thing, yeah. And even if they got out of school like me, like getting out early, they all of a sudden were like, "Oh, you're an adult now." It's like being out of school does not mean I'm an adult. What law says that? I know, and it's making me think of like all these other shows I worked on. I'm like, I don't recall this dynamic on any other show though. Because most of the shows that I worked on, it was mostly adults. And then they had me playing a parent, besides me playing a kid. But they had me playing a parent with a kid, and it wasn't anything where I'd be sexual with the kid. So I was the parent of the kid, and then, but I don't recall any dynamics where there was like actually a minor playing a kid on the show, and then they had all these adults with them. If you guys know of any, bring it up, because I'm kind of just skimming through. I'm trying to remember all the shows I did, and I go, I don't remember this dynamic. I just got lucky maybe, and I didn't run across this. It's horrible because Mila wasn't protected. I'm not liking that.